No, sir. Did you put him in the straitjacket? No, sir. There was no need. He was quiet? Didn't struggle? No struggle. Even when he saw you meant to put him in restraint room, he was quiet and didn't struggle. That's right. I felt an urge to embroider on this to give Percy at least a line or two, and conquered it. Simpler would be better, and I knew it. There was no fuss. He just went over into one of the far corners and sat down. Didn't speak of Wharton then? No, sir. Didn't speak of coffee, either? I shook my head. Could Percy have been laying for Wharton? Did he have something against the man? That might be, I said, lowering my voice even more. Percy was careless about where he walked, Hal. One time Wharton reached out, grabbed him up against the bars, and messed him over some. I paused. Felt him up, you could say. No worse than that? Just messed him over and that was all? Yes, but it was pretty bad for Percy, just the same. Wharton said something about how he'd rather screw Percy than Percy's sister. Moores kept looking sideways at John Coffey, as if he needed constant reassurance that Coffey was a real person, actually in the world. It doesn't explain what's happened to him, but it goes a good piece toward explaining why it was Wharton he turned on and not Coffey or one of you men. And speaking of your men, Paul, will they all tell the same story? Yes, sir, I told him. And they will, I said to Jan, starting in on the soup she brought to the table. I'll see to it. You did lie, she said. You lied to Hal. Well, that's a wife for you, isn't it? Always poking around for moth holes in your best suit, and finding one more often than not. I guess, if you want to look at it that way. I didn't tell him anything we both won't be able to live with, though. Hal's in the clear, I think. He wasn't even there, after all. He was home tending his wife until Curtis called him. Did he say how Melinda was? Not then, there wasn't time, but we spoke again just as Brutal and I were leaving. Melly doesn't remember much, but she's fine. Up and walking. Talking about next year's flower beds. My wife sat watching me eat for some little time. Then she asked, "Does Hal know it's a miracle, Paul? Does he understand that?" Yes. We all do, all of us that were there. Part of me wishes I'd been there, too, she said, but I think most of me is glad I wasn't. If I'd seen the scales fall from Saul's eyes on the road to Damascus, I probably would have died of a heart attack. Nah, I said, tilting my bowl to capture the last spoonful, probably would have cooked him some soup. This is pretty fine, hon. Good. But she wasn't really thinking about soup or cooking or Saul's conversion on the Damascus road. She was looking out the window toward the ridges, her chin propped on her hand, her eyes as hazy as those ridges look on summer mornings when it's going to be hot.